Hello guys, so we are going to continue the discussion with respect to Python, and in this video we are going to discuss about the most important module that is called as functions. So what is the entire video outline in this video? We will be discussing about what exactly is functions, why do we require functions. Along with that, we'll also be seeing about calling a function, defining a function, how do we define it, what is the syntax of it. Then along with that, we'll be discussing about functions parameter, default parameters. Then what is variable length arguments, so there are some very important arguments like positional argument and keyword argument. We'll be discussing about that. Then we will also be discussing about return statement. So we will be covering each and everything with the help of, again, code, with the help of Python. Each and everything we'll try to write it down with multiple examples. And I'll be making sure that you understand this, because this is one of the most important thing. Because whenever we are writing any data science projects or Python projects, we will be definitely using a lot of functions. So first of all, let's go ahead and define the function. A function is a block of code. Okay, again, I'm repeating it. A function is a block of code that performs a specific task. Functions help in organizing code, reusing code, and improving readability. Okay, so it is a block of code that performs a specific task. It helps in organizing code, reusing code, and improving readability. One of the best syntax, if you really want to check it out, right? So this is a syntax. So here I'm just going to give you the syntax. This function is an empty function. I've just written it for just to make you understand. So first of all, a function starts with a definition keyword. Then you have the function name, and if any parameters that you are defining, so we have to define the parameters. This is docstring. Docstring is just to use to write some kind of comments what the specific function does, so that any developer will be able to understand it. Along with that, we will go ahead and write our function body. Function body is more about all the code that we are going to use inside the function. And then finally, we return some kind of value. Okay. It is not necessary that return should be there. Some of the functions may not have return value, but some of the functions will definitely have a lot of return value. Okay. So this is the basic syntax. Now let me just go ahead and tell or talk about why do we require function. Okay. Why functions? This is important for everybody to understand. Let's say I am creating a number variable, and I go ahead and write a code which will be able to check whether a number is even or odd. So suppose if I go ahead and write if num modulus 2 or percentile 2 is double equal to 0, then obviously I'll say, hey, print the number is even, right? So I'm just going to write the number is even. Else what I usually do is that in this, I will go ahead and print and write the number is odd, right? So here what exactly is basically happening, we are just going to check whether a number is even or odd. And obviously if I go ahead and execute, this condition will be true because the number is even, and I'm going to get the answer, the number is even. Okay. Now let's say in my project, I want to write this piece of code, and I need to reuse this piece of code in multiple places, because in multiple places, I'm going to check whether a number is odd or even, right? Now, in this case, what I have to do, I have to copy the same code, use it in multiple files. Instead of this, a better way of reusing the entire code will be with the help of functions. Now, what I will do, this entire code, I will write inside a function. Now, the best way to write is that, let's say I will go ahead and create my definition keyword. I will say, hey, my function name is even or odd. Okay. And this will specifically take a parameter which is called as number. And now I will go ahead and write my condition inside this, right? So as soon as I go ahead and press enter, that basically means I'm inside my function, right? So automatically the indentation goes inside this function block, right? Now, the first thing is that I can go ahead and write my docstring. The docstring will be like, hey, this function performs, finds even or odd. Okay, even or odd. So this is what I'm specifically writing over here. So this becomes my docstring. It is not compulsory that you really need to write a docstring. You can also leave it completely empty. And you may also not even write any of these things. But it is a good practice that we should definitely write some information about the function itself. Now I will go ahead and write my code inside this. Now I will go ahead and write if num is nothing but the same parameter that I'm actually getting. And this is basically my parameter. If num percentile 2 is double equal to 0, I will go ahead and print the number is even, or I will go ahead and write else print the number is odd, right? So here you can see I've defined this entire function. Now I'll just go ahead and press it and execute it, right? So as soon as I execute it, I have actually created my first function, right? And this is amazing. And if you have also created it, always make sure the indentation is managed. If the indentation is right, then everything is going to work fine. Okay. Let's say if I miss out the indentation, I execute it, I will be getting an error. It will be saying, hey, expected an indented block after the if statement. And this is what we have actually done. Okay. So I'll just Control Z. Yeah. Now we are fine. I'll go ahead and create my function even or odd. Now in order to call this function, so let's call this function. Now wherever I want to use this code to find even or odd, I will just call this function. Okay. In order to call this function, just go ahead and call the function name. And here you just need to provide your parameter, right? So let's say the number parameter that I'm giving, I want to give it as 24. Now if I go ahead and execute it, here you can see that automatically it is printing the number is even. Because as soon as I give the parameter, it went over here, it went and checked all this condition, whichever is true, it printed it, right? A very simple way of creating a function and calling a function. And why do we require a function? Because every way we cannot write the code. We need to reuse this kind of code. So whenever you think, okay, I have some set of code block which I really need to reuse it, I will try to create that entire thing inside a function itself and I'll reuse it, right? So through this, the most important thing will be that it helps in organizing code, reusing code, and improving readability. Improving readability, why? Because we are also writing some amazing docstring over here so that we'll be able to understand. Because in a company, many people will work, many people will write different code over there. Multiple modules will be built. Okay. So this was a basic example with respect to function. I've also spoken about a parameter, like what exactly is a parameter? How do you give a parameter in this? Now, there may be scenario that I may also have multiple parameters. So let's work with multiple parameters. So here I will go ahead and write function with multiple parameters. Okay. And parameters you can give integers, string, whatever things you require. So I will go ahead and write definition add. Let's say I want to go ahead and create a add function to add two numbers. So I will go ahead and write definition add a comma b. And let's say I go ahead and write my docstring. Again, not compulsory. I can also leave it like this. Okay, just to show it to you. That is the reason I'm writing. Okay, so I will go back over here, press enter. So I'm inside this particular code block. Now I know that I have to add two variables, right? So I will create, one way is that I will create a variable c, a plus b. Okay, and then I can return this c output from that particular function. Okay, return c plus c, which is nothing but a plus b. Whatever sum is there, we are just going to return it. A better way of writing the code, instead of writing c, I can directly write return a plus b, right? So here what we are doing, we're just returning the sum of a and b. Now all I have to do is that create a variable and add, call this add function. Here I'm going to give 2 comma 4. Now what is going to get, what value result is going to get? As soon as we call this function 2 comma 4, it will just return 2 plus 4. Whatever will be the result, like 6, it will be stored over here. Now if I go ahead and print the result, here you will be able to see that I'm able to get the 6 value. So here you can have any number of parameters and code whatever things you are writing. You can basically use this parameter and write any code that you want. Okay. So it is up to you what kind of function that you are building. And as we go ahead with multiple examples, if we see in the future and in the upcoming videos, we'll be writing very complex functions. There's something called as decorators, lambda function, many things will be probably coming. One by one, we will be learning. First, we'll start with basics. Then slowly we'll be building the blocks with respect to the learning, and then we will be continuing on. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and show you and talk about one very important thing, which is called as default parameters. we can also provide default parameters within our function. Okay, now what exactly is default parameters? Let's say I create a function. Okay, I create a function saying as definition greet. Okay, definition greet. This function is responsible. Let's say I give a name over here, right? Let's say one parameter is name. Okay, and here I'm just going to write print. Okay, I'll use the f string and say that, okay, I want to probably write some information. Let's say I want to say hello, whatever the person name is. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and print this. Okay, and this is what is my definition greet. Greet is just more like you're welcoming someone. Okay, welcoming someone. Now what I will do is that I will just go ahead and call this function. So I will go ahead and write greet, and let me say that Krish has entered somewhere. So I will just give the Krish parameter. Like, let's say you are entering a restaurant, and soon as you write Krish over there in one of the application, and suddenly I will get a message saying that hello Krish. Okay, or welcome, something like this, welcome to the paradise. Let's say this is my message, hello Krish, welcome to the paradise. So as soon as I give this parameter, automatically this will get replaced over here. Okay, now I may also give one parameter, or I may also give some parameters with a default value. Okay, with a default value. Now what does that particular mean? Okay, let's say I just go over here, and this time I don't give Krish. Okay, I'll just try to execute this without giving any parameter. So here you can see I will be getting an error. Hey, greet missing one requirement positional argument. Okay, we will talk about what exactly is positional argument, more about it. But here you can see that I have given this particular name parameter over here, but I have not given any parameter when I'm calling it. And that is the reason I'm getting this missing one required positional argument. Okay. Now in order to solve this problem, what I can do, I will say, since I'm not giving the name, I may give a default value to the name. Let's say if I'm not giving it over here, then what will happen? It will first of all go and see whether the greet name is equal to guest is given or not. Now, if I go ahead and execute this, see, I'm not giving any parameter, but the default parameter, it will take it as guest. Okay. So if I go ahead and execute it, here you can see, hello guest, welcome to the paradise. Let's say if I go ahead and give the name, okay, over here, let's say the guest is not interested to give the name. So by default, it will take it as guest. But if I'm giving my name, it will just replace, the guest will get replaced with Krish. Okay. So this is some good example with respect to the default parameters. And this is how you can also assign default parameters. Now we are going to discuss about the main topic, which you will be seeing in function. That is nothing but variable length arguments. Okay. Now in the variable length arguments, here we are going to discuss about two things. One is positional and keyword argument. Okay. Positional and keyword argument. Okay. Keywords arguments. Okay. Now let me tell you one very important thing. Let's say that I have in a function many parameters as such. Okay. And let me just define one simple function that is called as definition print underscore numbers. Okay. And here inside this, let's say I have like this. Okay. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, like this. I have many parameters in short. Okay. It's just not one single parameter. I'm basically having many parameters. Okay. So what I will do, instead of just writing all the parameter names, right, I will use one very simple positional argument, which we denote it as star args. Okay. Now it is not necessary you need to write star args. I can go ahead and write star Krish also. Okay. But it is always a good practice. What is followed throughout the entire world, the same practice we should also do. Now in this particular case, I will just show you it's star Krish. Then we will go ahead and write with the documentation, like what is the best practices argument we've specifically used. Like positional arguments is basically given by star args. As I said, it need not be args. I can also write Krish. Okay. Now I will go ahead inside this particular function. Now here what I will do, as you know, the star crush will be having multiple parameters. So what I will do, I will just go ahead and write for numbers in KRSH, okay, which is my argument. I will go ahead and print numbers, okay. Okay, I will go ahead and print number. Okay, now see this. Okay, so this becomes my function. Please observe very carefully. Okay, now my print underscore numbers function, when I'm calling, let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, crush. It can be anything. Okay, so these are all the parameters that I have. You can see it is a set of parameters, and these parameters are basically called as positional arguments. Okay, positional arguments, one after the other. Now, if I go ahead and execute, now see the magic. All the parameters will be referenced by star crush. Okay, so crush will be a variable which will be referring all these particular positional arguments. Now, if I go ahead and execute it, now clearly here you can see for all the numbers, it is being able to iterate through this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and it is displaying it something like this. Okay, because here I just used 1. So this star crush is basically referring to all the positional arguments, right? Positional arguments basically means all the arguments that is given over here. Okay. Now, as I always said, the best practice would be, I will go ahead and write this and I will say ARGS. Okay. So ARGS is a kind of positional argument that we basically use. Okay. So here I'm going to write positional arguments. Okay. Why it is important? Because I may have many number of arguments over there. Okay, so I may directly use this specific thing. Okay, now the other thing will be that, okay, this is fine. If I go ahead and execute it, and if I execute the same thing, okay, I will be able to get the same answer. Fine, perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, crush. Now there is also one more important function which is called as keywords argument. Okay, now what exactly is keyword argument? Okay, let me just go ahead and create one more function. Okay, let's say I will go ahead and write definition print underscore detail. Now how it is different from positional argument, you'll be able to understand. Keyword argument is given by double star, and you can write any parameter that you have. So usually the best practice that is basically used is KWARGS. KW basically means keyword argument, right? ARGS is a simple positional argument. Now inside this, let me do one thing. One thing that you really need to remember, in keywords argument, all the keys or all the parameters will be in the form of key value pair. Okay. Again, I'm repeating it. In keyword arguments, all the parameters will be in the form of key value arguments, like key value pairs. Now, you know, if it is in the form of key value pairs, that basically means you'll be able to access this like how we access dictionaries. So I may go ahead and write for key comma value in KWARGS dot items, right? Dot items, right? If I go ahead and execute this, now what will happen? If I go ahead and print it, so it will be nothing but F key colon value, right? So I'll just go ahead and execute this. Now, how do we provide a keyword argument? It's very simple. Let's say I want to just go ahead and print these details. Let's say my first parameter is nothing but name. Okay, I've not defined it anywhere, but during runtime I'm just giving name, crush, age 32, and let's say city or country. I'll go ahead and write country is nothing but India. Okay, now if I go ahead and print all these details, so directly see, if all my values is in the form of key value pair, where I'm using a key name, I'm using a value name, key value. So all these parameters will be referenced by star KWARGS. Okay, star KWARGS. If all the parameters are just written like this, where it does not have any key name, then this basically becomes a positional argument. Okay, now let's combine both of them and let's see how things work right now. Okay, so I will just go ahead and write definition. Okay, and how do I specify my positional key argument? Nothing but star ARGS. So this will be my first parameter, this will be my second parameter. Now in my first parameter, I will go ahead and write, and let me just go ahead and display this. And for ARGS, I'm just going to display this values. Okay. Let's say I'll not take numbers because I can display anything, right? For val in ARGS, print val. Okay. And here also what I'm going to do, just to make it much more better, I'm going to use a f string, and here I'm just going to use this indication, and I'm going to write over here, right? So what I have done over here, for val in ARGS, print val. Okay. For key comma value in kwargs.items, we are just going to print this. Now the best way is that I will go ahead and write over here something like positional argument. Okay. And this will be my value. Now see, now I'm using both of them, right? Now how this function is able to identify, right? Let's say I'm giving print underscore detail. Let's say I give my positional arguments like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And here I will go ahead and write crash. Okay. So this basically becomes my positional, all the positional arguments. And between them, I will just go ahead and give this keyword argument. Let's say go ahead and give it anywhere that you want to give. Okay. Now out of all these parameters, it will be able to identify. Okay. Let's see what is the error that is probably coming over here. Positional argument cannot appear after keyword argument. See, this is the error. Now the main problem over here when we write like this, right? First of all, always remember we need to specify all my positional key arguments. Now I will go ahead and write my keyword argument. Now if I go ahead and execute the details, see, initially first argument is positional argument, second, third, fourth, till here. And this all that you'll be able to see is my keyword argument. So this is very much important to understand the differences between positional and keyword argument. In keyword argument, you have all the parameters in key value pairs, like how we have specified over here. In positional, you just have something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with respect to only the names that will be there. We'll not be assigning any key names, right? So this is the most important thing with respect to keyword and positional arguments. I hope you were able to understand. I hope you are able to understand the difference between them. And it is very much important if you know this, because next in the upcoming session you'll be seeing I'll be defining functions where I'll be having multiple parameters over there, and then we will also be seeing that. Okay. Now let's talk about the last topic for this video, that is called as return statement, and I hope I've already spoken about it. In return statement, our function returns something, right, after the entire statement is executed, right? So let me just go ahead and do it. So here I am going to create my multiply function. This will be a comma b, and here I'll just go ahead and return a multiplied by b, right? So here we are returning some value after the function is getting executed. Now in order to execute it, so I will go ahead and define my multiply function. Let's go ahead and write 2, 3, and finally I get my output. So functions can return multiple values also. Let's see whether this function will be able to return multiple value or not, right? So let's say I will write c is equal to or let me just define this function once again. Okay, and let me execute it over here. So here I will say, hey, return a comma b comma a. Okay, let's see whether we will be able to return this. So in Python, a function can also return multiple values. So here we are returning a comma b comma a. A comma b is nothing but let's say we 2, 3 have given. So 2, 3 is 6. Multiply when we are doing it is 6, and a value is 2. So we can also return multiple statements, multiple parameters, multiple parameters from a function. Okay, and that is what we basically use. We need to use this return variable. So I hope you are able to understand this. This was it from my side. This was all about functions. In the upcoming session, we are going to learn many amazing things about function. There are many things like lambda function, nested function, high order function. We will be discussing about them. So yes, this was it. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you. Hello guys. So we are going to continue the discussion with respect to Python, and now we are going to see some of the examples. Already in our previous video, we saw many topics regarding functions, and there are a lot of advanced topics that are going to come. But before that, I thought why not create some examples and show you how we can probably solve those, right? So first example over here is that we need to create a function for temperature conversion. So temperature conversion basically means we need to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius. So how do we define a function? We'll go ahead and see. So let's go ahead and see this example. So first of all, I will go ahead and create my function. Let's say I will write convert underscore temperature. So this is my function over here. And here I will give two parameters. One is temperature and one is the unit that I really want to convert it. Let's say if I give the unit over here as C, that basically means I need to convert this entire temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, right? And if I give the unit as F, right? So I need to convert the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius, right? So let me just go ahead and give a doc string. So this function converts temperature between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Okay, so this is what is my definition of this particular function over here, and we will go ahead and write our code, right? So here, let's say I will go ahead and write if unit is double equal to capital C, right? If I'm giving this particular unit, that basically means I need to convert my temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I'm going to return temperature multiplied by, and I'll do the operation 9 by 5. Okay, and here let me just give the bracket 9 by 5. I need to first of all multiply it, then I will go ahead and do the addition plus 32. So this is the formula of converting a Celsius to Fahrenheit with respect to the temperature. Okay, so this is the simple formula that we specifically use, and this in turn will be converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, Fahrenheit. Okay, then let me go ahead and write elif. Okay, so here we are going to use everything, whatever things we have learned. Let's say there are some examples where I'm going to use dictionaries, some examples where I'm going to use list and all. In this particular case, you can probably see that I'm also using if elif, right? So if elif the unit is double equal to Fahrenheit, okay, then I'm going to basically return, okay, and for this particular temperature I need to minus first of all 32 and then multiply it by 5 by 9, okay, and this will basically give us our Fahrenheit to Celsius, right? So this is the formula. If you go ahead and do the Google search also how to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, so this is the formula that you usually get. Okay, so that's it. This is what it is, right? And if I don't give any information for our third parameter, we need to also handle that. That is, if I'm not giving any unit, so I will just go ahead and return none. Okay, none. So done. So here I'm going to basically use this function. Now let me go ahead and call this function as convert temperature. And if I go ahead and write like a value, let's say temperature, I'm going to give 25, right? And this is in Celsius, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and print it, right? And I will be basically getting converted. We are converting this from 29 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. The next one that I'm actually going to do is print. Okay. Again, I will go ahead and call my convert temperature. And here I'm actually going to give 77 comma F, right? And this I will be able to get the answer. Let's see whether it works. Yes, 25 is nothing but 77 degree Fahrenheit, and 77 degree Fahrenheit is nothing but 25 degrees Celsius. So this is how the conversion is done, and I feel that formula is absolutely right what we have written. And here you can just see based on units we are able to do it. So this is for our first example. Now what I'm actually going to do is that I'm going to show you one more amazing example, which is called as password strength checker. Okay, now what exactly is this? Let's say that we are creating our user ID or login, and over there we specifically give passwords, right? And it is and most of the people just write password as 1 2 3 4 5. So we need to have a strong password check. Okay, so I'll be giving some of the check over here to just making you understand whether it is a weak password or a true or a very strong password, right? So first of all, I will go ahead and write my definition is strong password. So this function will be responsible in checking whether a password is strong or not. Okay, so here you can see I will just go ahead and write my doc string. This function checks if the password is strong or not. Okay. Now let me go ahead and write. Let's say first condition, that first criteria I want to put with respect to the password. My password should be minimum of 8 character, right? So I will go ahead and write if length of password is less than 8. So that basically means I'm going to just say, hey, this is a very bad password in short. So I'll just go ahead and say false, because this function that I'm actually creating is basically checking whether a password is strong or not. So right now the password is not strong, so I'm returning false. Then let me just go ahead and write another condition. If not, okay. So if not is one condition, if not any, okay. So here we are just going to see whether this character is having any digit or not, right? Whatever character, whatever password we are specifically giving, whether it is having any digit or not, right? So what I'm actually going to do, if not is basically like comparing whether there is not present or not, right? Something like that. So I will go ahead and use a for loop for character in password. So we will go ahead and see each and every character. And here I will just go ahead and see whether this character is having any digit or not. Okay. So each digit is a function that is present in every characters or string, right? So I'm just going to compare for every character in this specific password, whether it is having a digit or not, right? If there is not any digits, right? So what I will do, I will again return false. Okay. Please see carefully what kind of condition I'm using, right? So this is just like any function, an inbuilt function that is present in Python, and we are iterating through each and every characters in that password, and we are seeing whether it is a digit or not, right? And this is digit is a kind of function that is available in strings. Okay, so this is one of the check that I really want to do, right? Then I will also be checking with respect to the password is lower. If all the characters is lower, then also we should return it false, saying that, hey, it is not exactly a good password, right? So I will go ahead and write if not any. Again, I will go ahead and write my next condition. And here, this time I will say, hey, for char in password. And here I'm going to check, right? What I have to check over here, whether my character is lower. So lower is one of the function that is again present in Python. Sorry, for character in password I have to write. Okay. I'm just checking whether the character is lower or not for all the characters that are present over there. And if it is present, I'm just going to return the false. Okay. So guys, now we have written the condition still here. We have also checked like all the characters should not be lowercase. Okay. Now, similarly, all the characters should also not be, uppercase, and we'll also check for that, right? So here I'm going to write if not any, and this time I will be using cat dot is upper, right? So there are a lot of functions with respect to strings which I can specifically use over here, and let me just go ahead and write for char in password. Okay, and this we will go ahead and check it out, and we'll again write return false. Okay, now this is there. Now let's think of more things. Let's see for any special characters. So for special character, I would like to add many special characters that are probably present, right? If not any, let's say in our character, if there is no special character like this, then also I can say that, hey, this is basically a weak password, right? At least it should have one upper, at least it should have one digits, so this kind of condition. So here I've used all special characters over here for character in password. And then if it is not present, we are just going to return false. If everything satisfies, then we will go ahead and return true. Okay. So here all return false are there, and then here return true is there, right? So if all this condition are false, then if all this condition does not get satisfied, then we are just going to return true, saying that, hey, this is super amazing password and it is a strong password. Now let me just go ahead and call the function. So calling the function over here. Okay. And let me just give some of the things over here, right? So I'll go ahead and write print is underscore strong password. And let me just give one example. Let's say I have a capital letter and I will write a small letter, again a capital letter, and this is weak password. Okay. But here you can see that I'm not having any special character. Other than that, I think everything is getting satisfied, right? And digit is also not there. So I should definitely be getting false for this. One more way is that I can go ahead and print, okay, is strong password. And let me just go ahead and use some special characters. So I will go ahead and write str, and let me just go ahead and use 0 over here. Okay, and I will be using ng capital P W D, and let me use one special character like exclamation. Okay, now let's see whether both of them, I think this should basically be giving me false and this should be giving me true. Okay, so now if I execute this, here you can see, since I do not have a digit or a special character, I'm actually getting false. Here I have both a digit and a special character. So, and that is the reason I'm also having a capital letter over here. So that is the reason I'm getting true. So this is one amazing example with respect to password strength checker. Just with the help of one function, we are able to do this kind of validation, and we are able to execute it. Okay. Now let's go with the third example. Now this specific example I have actually selected just to make sure to show you like how in the real world application this can be used. So calculate the total cost of items in a shopping cart. So here we are going to define a function. So I will go ahead and write def calculate underscore total underscore cost, and here I'm going to give my cart. Okay, now this cart will basically be having a lot of items over there, and we can also give in the form of dictionary. So right now I'm just going to do pass, because first of all I'll see what kind of data I have. Okay, so let's just go ahead and show you some of the example with respect to cart data. And since we have already learned about dictionary, so we will go ahead and write cart is equal to, and we'll create a list, and this will be a list of dictionaries. Okay, so let's say my first item is something like with key value pairs, like name is equal to let's say I have apple. Okay, then I have price, which will equal to 0.5. Then I have specifically quantity. Okay, and this quantity will be equal to 4. Okay, now I will go ahead and create my next example, and let's say this $0.5 I will written like that, right? Obviously, so here let me just go ahead and add name should be banana. Okay, price will be $0.3. Let's say quantity, I'll say six bananas. This is the price, and let me just go ahead and again add one more item over here, right? Now let me just go ahead and write one more like orange. Okay, the price will be 0.7, and quantity I can write as 3. Okay, so this is my cart. Okay, with respect to all the items that I have. Then I will just go ahead and write my function over here. So let me just go ahead and create a temporary variable. Total cost is equal to 0. Now all I have to do is that I have to explore. I have to probably go through this each and every cart, take the price. Okay, and see this price is basically for one quantity. Okay, so we will go ahead and multiply with this many number of quantities. Okay, and again we have to retrieve the data from this particular dictionary, and then we will be doing the total sum. Okay, so now let me just go ahead and write from item in cart. So I will go ahead and explore this. Okay, so I will just go ahead and write total cost is equal to or plus equal to. Okay, so just like an increment operation where we are adding something. Then here I'm going to write item of price. Okay, item of price. So this, for every item of price, we are just going to multiply with the item of quantity. Okay, so let me just go ahead and write it down. Then I'll be getting my total cost. Then I can go ahead and return the total cost. So this function is just going to multiply the price with respect to all the quantity for each and every item. Now quickly let me just go ahead and call the function. So here I'm going to write calling the function. Okay, and here I will write total underscore cost is equal to calculate total cost, and here I'm going to give my data as cart. Now let's go ahead and execute it. I'll press shift enter, and here okay, let me just go ahead and print this total cost because we have not displayed anything. Now here you can see 5.889. So this is my total cost, right, with respect to all the items that I have actually bought. Okay, and this is amazing. I'm able to see the total cost of my entire cart. So here we have just created a function which is taking that cart items, and cart can be given as dictionary, list, whatever things you really want. Then we'll iterate through each and everything and we'll calculate the cost. Perfect. Let's go ahead and see one more example. This time, what we are basically going to do over here is that we are going to check, or we are going to create a function which will be checking if a string is palindrome. Now, what does palindrome basically mean? So if you just want to understand about palindrome, right? Some of the examples, let's say if I use this string ABA, if we read it from the front direction, it is ABA. If we read it from the backward direction, it is again ABA only, right? So from front and back, both are same. Okay. So we are going to basically write a function which will be able to do the check for any string from whether from the front it is equal and from the back it is equal with respect to the characters that we have. It should be same. Okay. So here, let us go ahead and define a function. So I'm going to write is underscore palindrome. So I'll just go ahead and write my function is underscore palindrome. And here I'm going to give my string. Okay. Now, the best way to do is that whatever string I write, right, between all the spaces, first of all, I should remove it. So I'll take the string, I'll write s.lower because I have to also do the lowering of all the characters. And let me just replace all the empty string, okay, with a string, right? With like, I should just remove that empty spaces. Now, the best way to do this is that I hope everybody knows in string we have discussed about slicing operations and all. So I will just go ahead and write : -1. Okay. Now, if this string is this is what I'm getting the reverse of a string, right? If I'm writing this particular code, I just need to compare this with my s, right? So if I go ahead and write s double equal to, this will either give true or false. This is basically the reverse of this specific string itself, right? So if both of them are equal, then we can definitely say that it is a palindrome. Now let us go ahead and see. Here I will go ahead and call is palindrome. Now in Google also you can search for different text, right? So I will use a sentence which is called as a man, a plan, canal, Panama. Okay. Now if you read from here, right, and if you read from the reverse, it is almost same. See, a man, right? So if it is starting from a man, so here also from backwards, if I read, a man is over here, right? Then again, a plan. So a is over here and plan is still here, right? So if you read this particular sentence, it is from reverse. Again, it is almost same, right? So let's go ahead and print this. And next one, I will just go ahead and take one sentence which is not palindrome. So let me just go ahead and write hello. So in hello case, I don't have the same sentence from forward or backward, right? It is not equal. So first one should be giving me true and second one should be giving me false. So here you can see it is true and the second one is basically false. So this is one amazing example with respect to palindrome, and just by using this string operation, slicing operation, how easily you are able to do it. Okay. Now, the next example that we are basically going to see is something called as factorial of a number using recursion. Now, what is recursion? Recursion is nothing but if I create a function, that function inside the body of that function will be called again and again. Okay. And if I talk about factorials, let's say I want to calculate 5 factorial. So it is nothing but 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, right? So this basically is the operation of any factorials, right? So I have to write a function which will be factorial, and let's say I want a factorial for 5, right? So first condition will be that if n is equal to 0, right, then what I need to do, I just need to return 1, right? Because 5 into 4 into 3 into 1, right? So 3 into 2 into 1, it should be like that. If I'm starting from 5, it should end till 1. So if n becomes 0, I need to just return 1, okay? Else, I will go ahead and just use one simple return n multiplied by factorial n minus 1, right? So here I am calling this particular function, right? So initially if I give 5, right? So what will happen? This condition will become false. So it will just go ahead and write 5 multiplied by factorial of 4. Then again factorial of 4, when it is called, it will be 4 into factorial of 3, then 3 into factorial of 2, then 2 into factorial of 1, then 1 into factorial of 0. When 0 comes, return 1. So it will be multiplied by 1, right? So now if I just go ahead and call the function, it will be nothing but I can just go ahead and write factorial with respect to 5. And here you can see this is my output. If I want factorial for 6, this is the output. Here you can see that I'm able to get it, right? And this is what is called as recursion. In recursion, inside a function, you're calling the same function unless and until based on this condition, it will keep on executing. Okay. So there are two more examples: a function to read a file and count the frequency of the word. Okay. I know I have not discussed much about file operation yet. Okay. But I really want to show you, like, let's say that I have one file over here, sample text. I have written 2 lines of code. Hello world, how are you? My name is Krish. Okay. As we go ahead, we'll be discussing more about reading file and doing file operation. But here, I just want to give you an example, like how we can create a function to do this task. Okay. So first of all, what I'll do, so my task is very simple over here. I will try to read a file and count the frequency of each word, right? So how many times each word is present. Okay. So quickly we'll go ahead and write definition count underscore word underscore frequency. Okay. And now I'm just going to give my file path. The best way to read file path is by using with open function. Open function is there in Python where you can specifically use and open any kind of file. So I will go ahead and write word underscore count. And I know that since I need to count the frequency of each word, so I need a dictionary over here. So this will be an empty dictionary. Now I'll go ahead and write with open my file underscore path, and this will open in my read mode. Okay. So for read mode, I will give it in string. Okay. And there is also like write mode and all, which we will be discussing as we go ahead in the upcoming sessions. And then we will go ahead and write as file. Then we will go ahead and write for line in file. Okay. And we are just going to write words is equal to line dot split. Okay. Line dot split. So we are splitting it based on new line characters. We are going through this particular file, right, with respect to that. Okay. Now, once I get the words, right, by using this particular line of code, we will be getting words because every space it will try to calculate, it will split it, and it will retrieve all these words. Okay. Now, once we get the words, what I will do is that I will go ahead and write for words in word. Okay. And here I'm going to basically write word is equal to word dot lower. Okay. So I'm going to do the lower operation. First of all, I really need to make small for all the words. Okay. Then let's say I want to probably do dot strip operation. Okay. And if you don't know about dot strip, you'll be able to understand whenever I give any specific words, it should be able to split based on any kind of characters because I need each and every word. So I'll be using some special characters like colon, slash, exclamation, everything. I'll be using this even like it should also split HE also separately, right? So that is the reason I've given this also. And if there is exclamation, everything, I'll try to strip it and I will try to get the word. Okay. Then I will just go ahead and write word of count and I will take that specific word. Okay. Please focus on the logic. Okay. Logic is super important, and logic you become better when you keep on practicing. Then I'm going to write word underscore count dot get. And here I'm going to write word comma 0. Okay. Word comma 0. And then we are going to add it with 1. Okay. So I'm using this get function, which is available in the dictionary as I have already shown you. And I'll go and search for this specific word. Okay. If it is not present, then the value will be assigned to 0. Otherwise, we are just going to increment with 1. And we have already seen dot get in our previous videos when we discussed about dictionaries. And finally, once it does it, I'm just going to return my word count. And it needs to be with respect to this particular width, right, in the same line. Now, let me just go ahead and call the function. Here, first of all, I need to give my file path. Okay. File path is very simple. In the same working location, I have sample.txt file. So this is the same file. It is present in my same folder location, that is functions. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this. Then I'm going to use word underscore frequency is equal to count underscore word underscore frequency. And then I'm just going to give the file path. Okay. So this will basically be my file path. Now, after this, I will just go ahead and print the word frequency. Now see, each and everything is done. Let me execute, and always make sure, guys, indentation is the main key thing. Many people may face problem if your indentation is not correct. Okay, so now if I go ahead and execute it, cannot access local variable word where it is not associated with a value. So let's see where is the error. So word frequency of frequency of file path. If I'm going inside this particular function, inside this, it is going to for words in word. Okay, okay, it should be opposite. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and write this because I have to access words. So here you can see hello is present 1, word is present, everything is present 1. Okay, so let me just go ahead and save it, and let me write again Krish. Okay, so Krish is present 2 times. So if I go ahead and execute, I should be getting Krish 2 times. So here is Krish. Okay, a simple example of a function to read a file and count the frequency of each word. So here we have taken a sample file and we have read it in the read mode, and we have counted each and every word. Amazing function again, and I hope you are learning many things out of it. Okay, more about the file operations we'll be discussing. There is a separate section that will be coming up as we go ahead. Now, final task, this is for you. Anyhow, I'll be giving you the code. Okay, so here the question is very simple. You need to validate the email address. Okay, so let's say that you there is a subscription emails that you really want to get from a company. Let's say there is a page, and people will go ahead and write any email and just click on start subscription, right, if they want the free materials or anything as such. Now, the problem is that someone may not put a valid email address. So we also need to do the valid email check. So for this, I will already give you this particular code. Okay, and you can go ahead and try it out and just try to understand it. Here I've used every special characters. Okay, it should be matching this pattern, right? Like, let's say one of my email address is some username @ it can be gmail.com, right? So similarly, this is my first regular expression, right? It can be between A to Z, capital A to Z, 0 to 9 plus. Then again, @ will be there. Again, you can have Gmail, you can have Hotmail, you can have Yahoo, anything as such. And then finally .com, right? So this will be the entire matching for the regular expression. I will talk more about regular expression as I go ahead. Now, if I go ahead and check this, you will be able to see it. Here you can see this is my true email. This is a valid email. This is not a valid email. So just go through this and check it out. The reason why I'm including some new things so that you get excited by just seeing all this kind of application. So I hope you like this particular video. This was it from my side. I will see you on the next video. Thank you.